So injury-wise, obviously Jack Gibbons, he had surgery today. He will go to IR and very, very likely be out for the rest of the season. Heartbroken for him. He was playing at a really high level. I'm disappointed for him, but that was tough to watch, and I'm sure you guys all saw it. So that's unfortunate. Secondly, Tajay Spears entered the protocol this week, so he'll be in concussion protocol this week. We'll see how he progresses through the week, if he will be available for the game or not. So we'll see. And I'm sure you guys will ask, but Cheeto, we should be. Haven't made a final determination yet, but if it's not this week, we'll definitely open his return to play by next week. So he's coming quickly back to work here, hopefully. So that'll be good. We could use some reinforcements to come help us out there. So expect that here in the next week or two for Cheeto to open his window. Other than that, I'll say there's just a couple things about the game. First is, I thought there was some really good performances by a bunch of guys. I thought our interior of the defensive line was fantastic between Jeff and Sweat. They did a really nice job creating pressure. They stuffed the run game for most of the game. It was really impressive performance by those two. I thought there was some really positive throws that Will had on tape this week that gave us some opportunities, some explosive plays. We had 8 explosives on offense. Those things are all positive. Clearly, whether, it doesn't really matter whether you agree with him or not, 13 penalties is going to lose you a lot of games. So we got to do a better job having some more discipline, being able to overcome some of those things and not put ourselves in position to get called for penalties that were called. And, the negative plays offensively are still things that sort of hold us back at times between the sacks and the penalties. Still far too many for us to play a brand of football that can win against a really good team. And that's we've played a lot of really good teams over the last what feels like 5 weeks or so. Really, really good football teams, really good defenses, and you're not going to beat those teams with 13 penalties and 5 sacks. That's just the way it's going to go. You have to be better than that. So those things we have to improve. I also think, too, that a lot of our young players right now, I know I talked about things that happen under the surface, things that necessarily aren't, out there for everyone in the world. But I look at guys like Jarvis and JC and Sweat, even Jack Gibbons. I look at the players that, even Baker, Darrell Baker coming in, and guys that are playing well, that are growing and developing and putting really good performances quietly, because we're not winning the games, but are quietly putting together good football for us and getting better every week. Those are the things that I like to look at and point to when people ask about the things that are happening underneath the current. That's what I look at, and that's what I see as some of these young players really ascending, and guys that are stepping up in roles. Even Mike Brown, just the way that he stepped in and played at the safety spot for us. There's a lot of guys doing really good things for us right now, and again, not enough to win some of these games that we played in, but guys that I'm excited about their development.
When you look at the performance yesterday from the passing game and from Will in particular, does it make it more impressive that what he was able to do, since you didn't have a run game really to balance it out?
No, I mean that's the number one rush defense in football. So we knew it was going to be hard, and we tried to find some ways to see if we can manufacture it. But the way the fronts are played, the movement, it's a really difficult team to run the football against, and it put us in some tough spots. Our first and second down efficiency was not very good. We found ways to be in some manageable third downs and to convert. About 40% of our third downs against a top 10 third down defense was encouraging. So Will did some good things and didn't have much to lean on outside of just having to face some pressures and make some big throws. And I thought he delivered in a lot of those spots. And there's certainly things he's got to clean up too. It wasn't perfect. There's throws that I think he can throw better. There's decisions that I think could make it cleaner. But yes, there was some really encouraging things and things that are exciting about how he played in that game.
Will spoke to us yesterday. He seemed very confident. He said he did awesome against the blitzes and things like that. Your experience, like how much can a performance like that kind of catapult a guy towards taking more steps that he needs to take?
I mean, half the battle is being confident enough to go do it, and to see Will's growth and put together 2 much improved games. Even look at in general for our team, the turnover margin. I think 3 weeks now we've been even or better. which is a huge departure from what we were early in the season. And Will's a huge part of that. He's taking care of the football. That last interception, he's trying to do a little too much, but at the end of the day, when the game was tight and we had to make some throws, the ball wasn't in harm's way. And there's a confidence that comes with that, and the more confidence you get, so usually the better you end up playing for a lot of reasons. And there's a lot of parts to that too. There's the protection direction part. There's the throws part. There's managing all the things you have to manage against a good defense like that, with the zero pressure looks and the we have usually two plays called on every third down to manage all that stuff. And I thought he did that with a high degree of execution in a lot of those spots during the game. So really encouraging, and he should be confident because there's things that were really good in that game.
Formation penalties, did you do anything different yesterday than you've done previous weeks that you got flagged for?
No, we hadn't been flagged for an illegal formation all season. Yeah. So, no, we hadn't. And, to me, that's a very subjective call, and whether they think the guy's in the belt line or not. I mean, that we teach how to line up correctly. We teach where the alignment's supposed to be, and obviously they felt like we weren't there, and that's not for me to debate about. They called it, and so we got to make sure we line up better and our details better, and that we don't put ourselves in position to get those flags. But we haven't had a problem with those all season long.
When you look at that right tackle position.
I'll come back.
When you look at that right tackle position, what's the balance between rotating to find the guy that's working well that day, and at some point just saying, this is the best we have, and it may not be good enough, but we got to have the continuity of having the same guy in there all the time?
Yeah, we go back and forth with that, and what is the best thing, and ultimately, it's nothing's been good enough, so you keep trying to find something to be good enough that you want to build on and give continuity to, and thus far it hasn't really had that happen yet. And I've not been a part of something that's been so hard to settle down and find some continuity and find some consistency. We just haven't been able to get there.
In terms of some of the throws that Will was making yesterday, under pressure and kind of the clutch completions, was some of that new yesterday? In your way of thinking, had you seen all of that before, or were there some things you saw new from Levis yesterday?
I just saw, I think, kind of coming back to what TD asked about the confidence, I just saw a confidence in, probably first and foremost, in the plan. So just the preparation throughout the week, knowing what to do, how to do it, why we had everything, the intent of what we had up, and why we were playing those plays the way we did. And that part was really good. And then to see him in the game, cut it loose and not have a whole lot of fear of failure in those moments was really good to see. And I thought that the moment that I thought was the best of the whole game for him was we hit Rid for that touchdown. It gets called back, and then now we're 3rd and 11, and Flores decides to come after us, and we got it wired up. He's got the look. He knows what to do, and then he rips the ball under pretty significant duress. It's a zero pressure. We can't get them all. We got them all blocked, but it's not. You got to get the ball out still, and he gets the ball out with pressure and delivers the ball to Bryce, and compliment to Bryce as well. Bryce hadn't repped that play all week. The only reason he was there is because Rid had just scored a 60-yard touchdown and didn't have any juice for the next play. So Bryce steps in there, knows what to do. And I just think that, to me, is what's indicative of the growth there, is that there's a confidence and a knowledge of what's being asked, how we're expecting him to do it, and then to go do it is always the third step. And he did it in some pretty high leverage spots in the game, and that was encouraging.
From a chicken or the egg standpoint, like, how much of that is you guys, are you scheming those explosive looks up more because you have more confidence in him? Or is he seeing them better, hitting them better, and they were always there to be made?
That's probably both. I mean, there's probably some things as we've gotten more comfortable with Will playing, and he's gotten more comfortable, and I've gotten to a better feel for what he likes and the types of throws that he throws well. I'm trying to put him in that position more often, so that's part of it. The other part of it is, we've found ways to get the ball to him. Whether that's reps in the process, that's familiarity with what we're trying to get done in a game plan. I think it's a little bit of all of those things, and Again, I think we still need more. I don't mean to say that we've arrived by any stretch, but there's been some positive developments, and I think we got to keep doing that at a more consistent rate.
You had mentioned that you spent extra time with Will last week to prepare for that Vikings defense.
Mm-hmm.
With the results that you got, is that something you might want to continue moving forward, putting in that extra time?
Yeah, I would say that we probably didn't put anything. It wasn't any different than the normal week. It was more on Will to make sure he was really dialed into the very particular things that we were looking for that week. As far as the structure and the work and what we do on a normal day-to-day basis, that didn't really change necessarily. But it was more about you just have to know you have to see a whole lot more against that defense than you do in a normal week against a normal defense in the league. They're just because of the multiplicity of the things they do, and it was really kind of on Will to really make sure he was dialed into those things. He did a great job and put a lot of time into it. He always does. That's not really been anything different for him. So it was good to see. It was good that he could digest all of it and then go out and do it on game day.
When you see some of these teams, basically give up, they have either a worse record or the same whatever, and you see your guys continue to fight, like after all the adversity, like, can you verbalize, like, how you feel about that, how pleased you are with, their ability to continue to fight?
Yeah, I think we have a locker room full of pros, and they understand what it means to play football in the NFL, and they understand that things don't always go your way. And there's a lot of football that gets played over the course of a season, and we haven't found a way to fully break through yet, but I think they see and believe in each other. And that, to me, is what gives me confidence in them and gives me clarity that we're doing things the right way, that they do things the right way, and that they play for each other. And I've always said that the determination of the culture of your team is how connected they are, and we talk about it all the time in our team meetings. But that's a group of guys that's connected. They love playing football together. They love coming to work every day. They love being around each other. And to me, that's the foundation of what you want your team to look like. And when they go out and play the way they play every week, that's not a surprise to me because that's how they practice. That's how they meet. I mean, everything we do gives me belief that every week we go out there that we're going to have a chance to win. And those guys believe that too. And that part to me is really encouraging, for where we're at, to see guys play the way they play. That just confirms for me all the things that I think and that we're made of the right stuff.
What about their buy-in and belief in you? Like, was there a point where you felt convinced, like, hey, man, like, this is my squad right here. They really are with me.
I truth be told, I've felt that way since the beginning. I've not wavered on that. I've not felt any different. And you have to ask them more on what and how they feel. I don't want to speak for them, but I just think that I think we do a good job as a coaching staff, as an organization, of treating them like men, giving them freedom, working together, and I think in turn they do their part and they play the way they play because of it. And again, you can ask them how they feel, but I felt from the get-go that this was a group of guys that I was going to be proud to coach and proud to be around and excited to go to work with every day and go to battle with on Sundays. And it seems like they feel the same way. And again, we don't sit there and tell each other that stuff, but they're made of the right stuff.
When you look at what Bryce Oliver has done in the limited reps that he's had,
I'll get to you, Nick.
does it make you? Are you at a point in the season where you might want to start to take a look at? Give some other guys like, say, Cedric Gray or James Williams or even David Martin Robinson opportunities to see what they can do on the field?
Yeah, I don't know that we're necessarily at a juncture where we would just unless someone wasn't playing well enough. But we're still going to need our linebackers with Jack. With Jack's injury, we're going to need some guys to step up. Some guys that haven't played as much will probably play a little more, and the roles might get divided up. We'll see what that looks like. But yeah, certainly. I mean, Bryce is a guy that I've been kind of excited about since training camp. The more he's played, the more he shows up, and he's got a couple catches in back-to-back weeks, and a lot of things about Bryce that have been good. Again, another one of those players I think is growing and developing, and I think is a guy that can help us, down the stretch of the season here, the back half, to make some plays, and that's a good thing. The more of those guys we have, the better.
You
kind of look,
Let me go to Nick first, and I'll come back.
when you look at the big picture of being near the top of the league in injuries right now, how much of that do you feel like is growing pains of kind of getting the system you want in versus kind of the way you guys play, your personnel, and that sort of stuff?
You know, as regards to like the injury factor, is that what you said? I didn't hear that.
Penalties.
Oh,
Be
penalties.
the top of the
Yeah.
league in penalties.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I thought you said it. I was like, wait, okay. Yeah, the penalty thing is, I think, is partly the demeanor in which we want to play, particularly in the secondary. You know, it's there is a cost of doing business, if you will, when you're playing aggressive and you're playing press and you're trying to make life hard on receivers. Traditionally, those teams get called for those penalties quite a bit, but not enough to necessarily, you know, ruin a game for the most part. You know, they get called, but they don't call it every play and all those things. The other part of it is, though, that we do need to do a better job of, you know, there's a discipline factor that has to improve, and you know, we can't jump off sides. You can't do that. That's not. Those are things that we can control, and we haven't done a good enough job controlling the controllables, if you will, and those things have got to get cleaned up. We got to do a better job in that area. Again, holding calls, especially on offense, are usually technical in nature. Every now and again, they just happen, but it's hand placement, it's foot positioning, it's all the things that go into playing the position at a high level. Those things that haven't been clean enough. And then, you know, sometimes you're just going to have some penalties, but we were pretty good there for a while, and then it's sort of kind of grown week by week. And those are things that we can't have if we want to be in games and have a chance to win against good teams. And that was one of the messages today, is that we played a lot of really good football teams in the last month. And when you have all those things that pile up negatively, penalties, sacks, things like that, you're putting yourself in position to not win the game. And usually in the NFL, you got to not lose it first before you can actually go win it. And we're putting ourselves in position to lose games. And that's ultimately something that we have to improve. And it starts with me.
Excuse me, what do your analytics tell you in terms of how much a sack can kill a drive? And I guess probably an obvious question, but how much does that need to improve if you guys want to get any kind of offensive consistency?
Yeah, the first and second down sacks are the ones that are you know, third down is what it is. But the first down sacks, the negative plays that put you way off script, are the things that we got to do a better job of, because those are the ones that derail drives. And again, you hold the ball on a third down, something that happens. But you know, the first and second down sack is pretty critical. You know, the numbers would bear out for the most part that when you go backwards in a drive, your chances of scoring points go down dramatically. And that's sacks or penalties to me. And I think part of our red zone issues that we've had is that we've been in these kind of fringe high red zone areas, but we've been in like 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12 on like the 20, the 18, the 15. Those are really difficult spots on the field to, you know, you're already condensed as it is, and then you don't have, you know, and it's a long third down. So we got to find ways to be on schedule a little better than we've been, and a huge part of that is the sacks that lead to those kind of derailments of drives.
Is there a number at the end of that you guys generally think of in terms of, you know, a sack killing a drive percentage-wise?
I don't have the top of my head. I can get back to you on it, but off the top of my head, no. I think it's the probability of scoring with a negative play like a sack. I don't want to put a number out that's inaccurate. It's not good. I know that. Yeah.
We talked all year about the inability to adjust and coming out second half looking worse than you are in the first half. It felt like yesterday was the first time that you guys improved in the second half.
Yeah.
Those adjustments maybe were working. Did it feel any different to you guys?
No, I mean,
idea
our
why that
process was the same for the most part. You know, we go through what we think, what we got to fix from the first half, what plays we're going to be headed into in the second half, what we need to come back to, what things we have to make adjustments on. All those conversations were the same. Did a better job, certainly. And even last week, you know, we came out and kicked the field goal on the first drive of the third quarter, and we only had 3 more possessions after that. So I would say that we are getting better in that regard. We're doing a better job of playing at a higher level more consistently over the duration of a game, not for a quarter or for a drive or for a half. And that's been something that we've really put some emphasis on is that competitive stamina from the first quarter through the end of the game of being able to go out and execute and at that consistency that's required.
So can you put your finger on what that is? Is it an approach standpoint from the players? Is it anything you guys are doing as coaches?
No, there's nothing I could point to directly. It's a good question, but I would say that the process for us hasn't really deviated too much. Yeah, I don't know what the ultimate difference would be. I think guys are I think we've done a better job just overall, playing football on offense the last few weeks, and again, plenty of things to clean up. But I would say it's probably more that than anything else, is that we're just becoming more comfortable and playing a better than we were early in the season.
Callie, with the 7 games left, 5 of those are in the division. But you're currently, if the season ended today, closer to the 2 pick overall. The fact, though, that you've got so many division games, do you use that in messaging as, guys, we can still play our way into this, or at least have a chance?
At this point, I think the guys know what it is, and the important part for us is just winning the next one. As opposed to worrying about much else outside of that. And division games are big, and they matter, and then they matter for next year as well. I mean, there's all the things that go into playing in the division that are important, and the stakes are a bit higher, and they're games that you want to win because none of us like each other very much. That's just how division games go, and we got to find a way to at least make a mark on our division here at the end of the year with all these games coming up. And you want to play well. You want to play well against your divisional teams, and you want to look up at the end of the year and at least ideally at least split with your division. That would be kind of the bare minimum you would hope to have, and see if you can't pick up a few other ones along the way.
If Mike Brown's put in a similar situation as yesterday, what can he do different, or is there anything you would coach him differently?
No, Jim, there's not. I think that what he did was within the letter of the law. It was a legal play. I know that part of that process was whether he launched or not. I didn't think that was the case. And, you got guys running full speed in the end zone. Those are just collisions that happen. And I thought it was a really nice play. If he wasn't there, if he didn't make that contact the way he did, the receiver probably catches the ball. And for us, that's a hell of a play to dislodge the ball from the receiver on a legal hit. And disappointing that it got flagged. I wouldn't tell him to do anything differently. I thought that was a pretty clean and textbook hit from that regard.
You mentioned the linebackers. Baker, how do you think he did with extended snaps? Is Cedric Gray one of the guys that could get extra play?
Yeah, those guys. Those guys are on the table. Obviously, Jerome's played quite a bit of football. Stepped in there in that role in the second half of that game, and you can see why he's played as much as he's played. I thought he did a good job. And then we'll see what that looks like. We got a lot of guys that could fill various roles, even maybe if not, they're not all playing every down the way that Gibby was playing, where you can manage those guys. Because you got, James Williams is up playing on special teams. He's been doing a really nice job. You got Cedric that's active, and if we can find a role for him, and then I think that there's some opportunity there for sure.
Not your primary concern, of course, but did it bother you and the players at all to see so much purple in the crowd yesterday?
My experience with those things is that when you play well and you win games, people come, and that's for us to have our Titans fans at the stadium and supporting us. You have to give them something worth supporting, and right now we have to do a better job of that. You got to win more games to see people support. I've played in this stadium before, and it's been a pretty raucous environment. It's been a hard place to play, and we got to do our part to make sure that our fans want to come, and that's all part of it. That's how it is for every team in the league. You put a product out there that people want to watch, they tend to come watch it, and our record and what we've done so far probably isn't what people expected or wanted, nor is it what we were hoping for. And so those are usually what happens in those types of games against fan bases that travel well. And that's a good fan base. Minnesota's a fun place to they got a good team. They're excited about them, and this is a fun city to come visit. And so that's all part of it. It's a great city. It's a great place. I know when I was in Cincinnati, the Bengals fans all look forward to coming down here too. It's just part of what makes Nashville a great place, and we just got to keep putting our team together and put ourselves in position to win games, and those things will work themselves out.
Any idea on Snead this week?
I would say no this week, most likely, but again, hopeful that that's getting closer.
What did you like about maybe yesterday's performance? What are some things you guys got to get maybe better at moving forward?
Yeah, I think that it's no questions that we're making strides as a team. I feel like we're improving in all phases. I just think we got to find a way to put together a complete game and, not just have, maybe one good half and maybe not so great good half. Just put it all together, and we'll see good things come from it.
Where do you guys kind of channel that desire to continue to go out there and play and play as hard as you do despite the losing record?
Because I think, it might be hard to see on the outside, but, within the building, there's still a level of confidence because we see it on film, we see the improvements, we see that we have a good team. We just haven't put it all together yet, but there's optimism because we know the guys that we have in the locker room, and we have the right people in the building to turn this thing around. And honestly, I just think, you think 2 years ago, the Jags were, 3-7 at this time? They end up winning the division, winning a playoff game. Five out of our last 7 games are divisional opponents. So, there's optimism there because we know we're improving. I know it's hard to see on the outside, but we still have that confidence in the building because we see the improvements and we feel like guys are continuing to take that next step, and we just got to find a way to put it together, keep coming to work, stacking days, and just trusting the process because we have a good process here. And we just have to trust the process, keep stacking days, keep improving at practice, and then just go out there on Sunday and put it all together.
That incremental improvement that you mentioned, that's Brian Callahan has stood there and said that 3 or 4 times to us. How much does he drive that ship as far as recognizing and continuing to improve?
I mean, everything he said has been true. Like the schedule he puts together, everything that we're doing on a daily basis is what's driving those incremental improvements. And we just got to find a way on Sunday, man, to just put it all together because we're right there. And I know it's hard to see on the outside, but I'm telling you, in the locker room, we really believe that we can turn this thing around. And it could happen Sunday. And then we talk about, calls not going our way. In this league, to be honest, man, when you're winning, you get calls. And then when you're losing, it just seems like you don't. So as soon as we find a way to just turn it around, I think we'll start getting calls.
What do you mean when you say that schedule during the week? Can you give us some examples?
I think he's doing a great job of just simply finding a way to make sure we're getting all the work we need to get to improve, but also at the same time recognizing where we're at in the season. And, some guys might need more work than others, but I think he's doing a great job of putting together a schedule where we're all getting the work we need to get to go out there and perform. We just got to put it together as a team with all 3 phases working together.
Did you say anything to Mike Brown after the penalty that he got? Because it didn't, by most accounts, did not look warranted.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody just told him don't worry about it and just flush it. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happens out there that's out of your control, It's the refs are human. They're going to miss calls. It is what it is. You just got to go on to the next play. I know it sucks in the moment, but it's just one of the situations where it is what it is, and you just got to move on, play the next down.
Brian said earlier that you can lose a game before you have the chance to win it, and he feels
Right.
like that's happened a little bit too much. What's the biggest area you see where you can eliminate those losing plays, if you will, to give you the best chance to win?
Right. Coach talked about it today. It's just discipline. And, I believe that too. I feel like guys are maybe trying so hard to make a play for the betterment of the team. But in turn, you kind of get caught trying too hard that you get out of place. You don't play with great technique, and you give up a play or two. And I think that's what it is. Guys just trying so hard to go out there and make a play, and they ending up in the wrong spot or whatever the case might be. But it's just discipline. It's just being able to lock in every play mentally with what your assignment is. And like he's been saying, just be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, and everything will take care of itself.
I know you guys like to talk about complementary football, but what does it do for you guys on the defensive side when Will shakes off the early season struggles and starts making plays like he has the last couple of weeks?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I told him after the game, man, that he did a good job. Like, I know, once again, some calls didn't go our way that took some plays away, but it's exciting to see him out there playing good. And like you said, for the defense, when our offense is controlling the time of possession and moving the ball down the field, which they've been able to do, means a lot for the defense. Yeah, I think it's good, obviously, for the defense.
Sweat played probably one of his better games yesterday. You talked to him just about what dealing with an NFL 20-game season is like, and how to keep your body fresh all the way through, and how hard that is maybe as a rookie.
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't spoken specifically to him about that, but I mean, like you said, it's the NFL. It's a long season. Can't get caught up in 1 or 2 games where maybe you didn't play your best. You just got to keep showing up to work, focus on improving, and like I said, trusting your process, knowing that the tide is going to turn. And like you said, he had a great game, amazing game. Now he's just got to come back to work, eager to continue to improve and stack days and show up again next Sunday.
Gibby was having such a good run. Harold, how tough is it to see a guy like that go down? Have you reached out to him at all?
I hate it for him, man. I love Gibby. I love turning around, seeing him out there, man. He's such a like an underdog. He really is, man. But definitely gonna miss having him out there, because I'm telling you, I love seeing him out there. Smart dude. He communicates so much. I hate it for him because, like you said, he was having a great year, and I talked to him after the game. He's in good spirits, and I wish him the best. But definitely gonna miss having him out there.
Yesterday's post-game presser about the 98-yard touchdown, he alluded to something that kind of indicated, did you guys kind of crack the code as far as what their coverage was going to be if you gave them a certain look on that play?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about it before. It's just kind of playing football. You know what certain signals and stuff might mean that DBs do. So it was I think we were on the same page with that, just knowing ball and kind of understanding what they were doing.
How do you feel you guys have bought into Brian Callahan? Because you guys are losing, but you're still putting forth maximum effort.
Yeah, I mean, he believes in every single one of us, and so I think we all believe in him just as much. We have the same faith that he has in us, and you can tell it means a lot to him. It hurts him a lot that we haven't played to the way that we think we're capable of, and really what we planned to do when we started this season. So nothing changes. I mean, I feel like we still have that same faith because he still has that same faith in us.
Seeing him go crazy, excuse me, the way he did after that call on Mike Brown, like, does that kind of reinforce what you're saying as far as like how it hurts him so much and how much you can tell he cares?
Yeah, I mean, it reinforces what I said. Like, he believes in his guys and he wants the best for all of us. Like, a week or two ago, when Mike ended up having to play more when Q went down, he was the first person to shout out Mike for making those plays to help win that game against the Patriots. And so he's got his back in that situation where a call that could go either way, and I feel like it was the right thing to do, and it's exactly what I'm talking about. He cares.
He's talked a lot about getting better beneath the surface and progress and all that stuff. How do you kind of grade what progress looks like in a season where obviously 2-8 is not where you want to be, but you're kind of building to something bigger?
Yeah, I guess there's no moral victories, right? I talked about that yesterday. But I did hear a buddy of mine last night. I was just talking. He had like a book release, and he was talking about how growth isn't always linear. And that was my initial thought when you say that. Like, it's not always linear. Obviously, we want to be winning, and that's what growth is measured by in this league. But the fact that guys are still fighting and still being resilient, I think that's something we can tip our hats on and see if that eventually those scales will tip.
Out of curiosity, Nick, what percentage of the plays called for you or end up being go routes? Do you know?
I'm not sure, no.
I just didn't know, like, if that was, we know how you've produced, but I wasn't sure if you think that the rest of the league sees you, that guy's going to be running a go route because he's got speed. Like, can you kind of put in perspective what you were able to do?
Yeah, I mean, probably accurate. Tendency, if you were to watch, is probably not me running a bunch of deep routes or at least getting targeted on them. So that's another probably reason why that play was able to work the way it did. So yeah, that's really about it.
But have you seen a difference in Will, I guess, last couple of games compared to maybe before he got hurt?
Yeah, I feel like he took that time that he was off and wasn't able to play because he really wanted to be out there. And I feel like he did the preparation, did what he could. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't be out there on the field. But that preparation, and maybe it was like a mindset of just how he wants to approach the game once he's back. I feel like he took that to heart and took advantage of it. I feel like decision making, doing well, but also just kind of cutting it loose and just playing the way he always has and knows how to play.
I feel like he's a more confident guy. I mean, just watching on TV, he looks like a more confident guy. Is he a more confident guy in the field, these guys?
Yeah, I'd say so. I feel like I felt that confidence exude from him on the field the last couple of weeks.
We've seen Bryce get more involved the last 2 weeks. As a guy that's been around for a while, what do you see in him as somebody that's coming along and getting more opportunities and making the most of them?
Yeah, I love seeing it, especially in our room. But also, just Bryce is a really good dude. Getting to know him over this season so far, OTAs, training camp, like that. I'm real proud of the way that he's taken advantage of those opportunities. Kind of see similarities in what happened to me. He's already catching 30-yard passes, so that's a little bit ahead of what I've been able to do. But it's awesome. It's awesome to watch that, and I'm excited for him. I hope he keeps going.
Nick, there was a lot of frustration in the locker room yesterday with the way that game ended and transpired throughout. A day later, as you look at the film, does it make it more frustrating, or in a way, as you see it, is it almost encouraging that take away a few things or a couple calls, maybe the outcome is different for you guys?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's more or less. I feel like the way that we saw the game after, right after, kind of felt the same way still. Still a bad taste in our mouth, knowing that we had opportunities to win that game, and that we just weren't disciplined enough for, the penalties that really hurt us, that are, our own fault. There are a good amount of those that are on us, and plays that we wish we could have had back. That was just discipline. It's just being in the right place at the right time and trusting the guy next to you. So I think it's about the same. We're still not happy with the performance, but happy with the fight.
All your celebrations have been newborn inspired. What was yesterday's celebration?
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, the hot dog song and dance. My wife will put that on for him a lot in the morning, to try to give her time to eat breakfast and get her day going. So yeah, that was that one.
You've got the Texans coming up this week, and one of those old cliches you can throw out the records, but I mean, isn't that the case for divisional games? It doesn't matter where anybody is, because you guys have been at the top and played teams at the bottom before, and somehow it's always close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just the way it plays out. Something about it, they're essentially rivalry games. It's the same way in college. I just remember any time we'd play Purdue, it didn't matter how good each team was. It was always going to be a close game for the most part. And it's similar in these divisional games. They mean more, and they're a good team. So, we got our work cut out for us, but they will too.
Nick, I know that the standings are what they are, the record is what it is, but with 5 divisional games left out of the 7, you've been on a team that was atop the division, and then a slide can happen. Do you use that to maybe just focus on this week and get one and see what you can do to stack something and maybe make something happen?
Yeah, I mean, you just approach it game by game basis. I feel like everybody says that all around the league. You just focus on the week that you have at hand, or the adage, you can't eat an elephant all at once. You got to do it one bite at a time, whatever it is. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. But yeah, you just take it 1 week at a time. But yeah, we've seen it happen where anything can happen, in this latter half of the season. And really, it's those teams that ascend in the latter half of the season that do well. So that's really all we can focus on right now.
Along the lines of Toronto's question about not giving up on the vision and each other and the coaches, Brian has talked to us a couple of times about how, despite some of them losing, he feels like under the surface there have been strides made, and you guys feel like you're trending in the right direction, even though you're not necessarily winning. Do the players feel that, and is that part of the reason why you're able to stay so bought in, because you feel like you're headed in the right direction?
Yeah, I'd say I feel that way. I do feel like there's movement underneath the surface. The wins and losses don't look the way we want them to, but I can feel just a difference in the energy, especially on the sideline in that game. Like, I remember after my touchdown, I remember that first, I think it was like the first drive we had back on offense, and Rid caught, a deep out route, and I was like, okay, we're about to get rolling. Like, we're about to take back over this game. And I feel like I felt that kind of same energy on the sideline. So yeah, I'd say that energy is building. We just got to convert that energy into wins.
That seems like the first game where you guys have been stronger in the second half than in the first. Brian, a couple minutes ago, wasn't really able to put his finger on why, but you mentioned that energy on the sideline. Can you speak to why you guys were able to keep trending upward through to the end of the game in this one and not fall flat after halftime?
I mean, I feel like momentum's part of that. You know, you have some big plays that are made, and it gets guys, you know, believing. And so that's probably something that you can't always control. You can't make big plays happen. You just do your job on every play and see what happens. But if we're capable of making big plays, offense, defense, special teams, I feel like that's what gets that energy up. I remember when Bryce made a tackle on special teams, everybody on offense, and I remember Levine was juiced. Like, you could feel that, and it's contagious, and I feel like that's what gives us that spark in the second half that you said you saw.
Nick, you talk about turning that incremental progress into wins. How important is that you guys find a few of those moments of validation here in the coming weeks for that big picture buy-in and belief?
Yeah, I mean, could you rephrase that? I guess I'm kind of confused.
Well, you just said you're seeing the incremental progress, but it hasn't led to wins.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it to cash in and get those wins in the next several weeks as you guys continue to fight forward in the big picture of things?
Yeah, I mean, wins are huge. I mean, we want to win every single game we play. But big picture, I guess you could say, is it builds momentum for the rest of this season to finish out strong. And however the dust settles at the end of the season, going into the next year as well. I feel like building that momentum and building that confidence in the brand of football that we want to play, and how we play it, and just having that confidence that, like, it works is big.
Seems like you've maybe turned into one of this team's most popular players. You've been here a while. Have you sensed that? Do people stop you and say anything to you on the streets now? Do you get recognized more? Do you kind of feel maybe the love for the fan base a little bit?
I mean, yeah, I feel like being here now for 5 years, there's more people that maybe recognize my face. I do appreciate it, love this community. It really has been a blessing being in Nashville now for 5 years and being with this organization. So yeah, I felt the love, and hopefully y'all can feel the love back.